All right, we're back for episode 83 of the Idiot Circle. I'm Mike.
I'm Fred.
Czar.
I'm Tim.
I'm Brock.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally it's been a roller coasters of emotions trying to get this gentleman on the show. Either been sick or people like Tim and Mike and Rob, and our work schedule's getting all goofy. So finally it's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Pete Patsalis on the show. Pete is the owner of It's Off the Hook.
Hook one.
Hook one. Off
Hook
the Hook
one.
is the
Off
bar
the Hook is
grill.
a restaurant.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
They got delicious perch.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Really good.
Take two.
So-
Take two.
Yep. Yeah, we have, and ladies and gentlemen, we have Pete Patsalis. We have Pete Patsalis from Hook One Charters in Marine City, and he does charters all over the state of Michigan. And when he gets out of state, he hooks up down in the Keys and does some charter fishing down there with his father-in-law, Dave.
Yep.
Swantek from the Water Street Winery. I want to say brewery because it's I'm so excited about it.
The
So
Water Street Winery.
yeah, yep. Stroke victim.
Yeah.
That's a Freudian slip of what you want to say. It's a combination of
Yeah. Yeah. So if you see my mouth starting to droop, guys, call 911.
Words is hard.
Mute
Mute 'em.
shut up.
Mute
So
'em.
Pete, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's seriously probably been a month in the making trying to do this.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice to be able to finally do it. I apologize. I'm not sitting in a room or on the road right now in the car. But I'm glad to be here.
Awesome.
You know,
So-
this is informal, Pete, so you could be sitting on a crapper if you wanted to doing the show, Doesn't matter.
I had figured I was going to spice it up somehow.
Well, sitting on a crab, unless you went to Taco Bell, you're not spicing anything up on the toilet.
Hey, ba-doom-ts.
Man, the
Ooh.
way my body's been treating me the last week, the last place I want to be is on the crapper.
Yeah, I bet.
TMI, buddy. TMI.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we-
exactly.
So how long has the store been open now? Hook One. How long you been going?
So we started Hook One Charters in 2018. I started running the guide business, and then in 2021 we had the opportunity to purchase the property we're at right now, which is at the mouth of the Bell River there, which is a great spot because boats can pull up to it and stuff. So we started that April 5th of 2021. So we've turned the corner on year 3. We're heading to year 4 now, man. It's awesome.
That is awesome.
It is a good spot too, because not a lot of people knew about it, and you had to put some flags out there and get them in there. And once they're in there, they're coming back for sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird spot. So like, especially getting to it by the road because it's off the main street and it's not downtown Marine City. But we're right on the other side of that stone yard from the boat launch. It's really easy for guys to pull up, get their live bait, worms, minnows, whatever it may be. And then we carry everything else that guys really need to catch a fish out there.
Fantastic.
Now wait a minute, Pete. We got 4 guys here above that. Are they big fishermen? Do they understand what you're talking about? We got a guitar guy. We got another guy. We got this guy. Who's the fisherman in the whole group?
Well, Rob does a lot
Yeah,
of fishing, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
You got to be careful. Don't use big words. They can't spell or understand.
Okay.
Come on, Tim. Just because we don't
Yeah.
fish
No.
every day, we all grew up in Marine City. We
Yeah.
know the fucking lingo, bro.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, hey Tim, I fish all the time. Pete knows. I see Pete out on the water. I see him. I'm like, well, there goes fucking Pete. I'm following him. Where's he going?
Hey, that's right. That's what I do.
You guys are out there a lot. You guys
Yeah.
are out there a lot. I'm okay with that. You know what? I'm okay with that. Guys get so pissed a lot, but it's like we're out there all the time, and there's so many different spots and so many different fish that go through that river that, like, I get it if you only have the opportunity to go out every couple days it gets frustrating. But in the spring, we're out there 7 days a week. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like if we can help people catch fish, it keeps them coming back to the bait shop. I'll
That's
share.
right.
Well,
Right.
I always tell people from like I always say it's like but last 2 weeks of May to first 2 weeks of June, it's like they're jumping in a boat. I mean, you really can't go wrong.
We're so spoiled, man. We're so fortunate because it really is. It is that good. And I mean, like we were out a week ago and it wasn't like insane, but we caught 5 fish. We lost a few more. And it's like we're so blessed to have what we have in our backyard. It took me going away to school and then coming back to kind of realize that I wasn't gone very long because I obviously missed it here. And it's seriously like we just take it for granted.
Oh, man.
Japanese
Bad
language.
cell zone.
There you go.
you're cutting out a little bit there, Pete. What's the farthest you've had a customer come for go out on a charter with you?
I've had guys all the way from Southern Florida come up. I've had a guy from Alaska last summer. So it's pretty cool. We see people travel from all over the place. I will say probably about 55 to 60% of our business is fairly local. And when I say local, I'm talking like Shelby Township out to like Armada, Elmont area.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Now, Pete, how many boats do you have?
So that's a good question. So right now we've just been running one, and I have another captain that's with us, Captain Louis, that's been helping out at the shop. This year we got the opportunity to kind of upgrade our boat, so that's kind of being worked on in the background. Our boat is up for sale, but if we end up having to hold on to it, I'm not too worried about it because we've got 2 guys ready to run trips. So we have 2 captains running trips. Louis does have his own boat, but I like having the boats there at the shop. All the baits there, all the tackles there, fish cleaning stations there, bathrooms, parking. So right now we're running the 1, be going to 2, and then we've got a little else we want Marine City involves some boats and some nice boats and getting people on the water. We're super stoked about that.
Nice.
Nice. Rob, how about you? You got any questions for Pete? I know you do because you're the aficionado of the fishing market around in this group, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I don't know about that. I like to fish. I wouldn't say I'm a great angler. I actually, Pete, when you first opened, I walked in your shop. I heard about it and I can't remember how. Someone in town and I walked in and you just opened up the bait and tackle store and I asked about some charters, but it was a little early in the season yet. So I was very curious. I love what you're doing. I mean, we're Marine City boys. We support Marine City boys, right? You're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I did have one question. During the winter months, not this year probably because of the mild winter, but do you also take people out ice fishing on Lake St. Clair?
I don't. That was kind of you start this, and the wife is kind of like, "Hey, what are you going to do in the winter when the fishing's done?" Because I don't ice fish. I don't like it at all, to be honest.
You don't like it?
I've never got into it. No, I don't like the cold. If it was up to me, I'd be down south. But it's too
Yeah,
expensive
good
down
man.
there.
Right.
But I never really had a passion to ice fish. So for us, it's really hard to tell them the stuff to use and really give them the proper information, especially when you don't have that like care for it, I guess. But what we do is we stay busy at the shop. We do a lot of stuff. So we paint a lot of jigs. We tie a lot of hooks. We're constantly respooling people's lines and getting them ready for the next year because with the way the winters have been the last 4 years, I mean, we're fishing into Lake St. Clair into January.
Wow.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean,
Turning into 12 months a year.
ice fishing back in like our days, Pete, the rest of the guys here on the Idiot Circle, you had to go out, you had to shanty, you had to find a spot, and you were trying to find a break line where they were kind of nestled up for the winter. But now you see them, they put those, and I don't ice fish, but I've been watching it lately. They put those cameras in, right? And into the water. You drill with a
Yes.
little hole. You put it in and you're like, no, move. There's no more shanties. These guys are just setting up on places looking for where the fish are quickly.
Yep.
Yeah, they got these pop-up. Yeah. Go ahead, Pete.
I was gonna say that's one thing that was like really a big, all my friends are fishermen. They're really bad at it. But I'm gonna be told that
I don't know. I couldn't hear.
We lost you, Pete. Sorry.
We lost him, man. I
you guys
love.
got me.
There you go.
Yeah,
I
there
hear
you go. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
You're
All
on.
right.
Don't drive so fast.
No, it's just good old 26-mile road.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Heading
that'll
out
do
Right
it.
here by county line, and it dies right out.
Oh yeah, that's what
So are
happens.
you heading out or heading back in?
Heading out.
Oh,
We
so
gotta
you
head
get
out towards
better.
like St. Clair Shores.
Oh, you're better than.
Yeah, you'll
gotta
get
get-
better service here pretty quickly. If you're
Yeah.
going by
Yeah.
the airport, that's definitely a dead zone.
Oh, horrible,
Yeah.
horrible.
So Pete, just as in a personal,
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I remember that in my first beer. Wow, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm your
I'm
father.
so sorry.
Usually it's Brock we're making fun of the internet connection. So this is a
Thanks,
switch.
Pete.
Brock's
Thanks.
all, see how Brock's all happy? You
Yeah.
know, thinking of him. He's like, boy, that guy's internet sucks.
Yeah, but he's on his
Man.
phone and Brock is on his home computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brock's
Like
to
the-
the SBC Global.
I have a few of these on my phone. I haven't had issues.
Hey, I'm on my Coleco.
Yeah. Well, see, Brock
Commodore
has
64.
Brock has like 3 chinchillas on a spin wheel trying to keep this thing going for him.
His dial is
So on a personal note here, Pete, Marine City grad, obviously athlete. Obviously I've known the family since you were little, and I played basketball with your dad in the rec leagues and stuff like that. But as far as when you went away to school, did you where did you go? And then you said you're right now you're focusing completely on the business, but what were you out studying when you were in college?
So when I graduated high school, I really wanted to get into like wildlife biology, specifically marine biology. But at first I didn't want to play football, so we kind of shut recruiting down. It was just a lot of Division III opportunities, which are great opportunities. Very few GLIAC opportunities. But originally, after the season was done, I just had so much fun with that crew and that family, really. I shut recruiting down. And then as we got closer, like out of winter and closer to spring, I just got that itch back. So we started reaching back out. I ended up going to Mount Union, which is a Division III school in Southeast Ohio. And they're a Division III powerhouse. Like the talent there is,
Oh, yeah.
the talent is which, by the way, Elma beat them this year. Shout out to Marine City grad, the Kretschmars.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
on that team, and they beat Mount Union. That was an awesome run by the Scots.
Nice. They
Um,
beat the
Yeah, they beat Mount Union in Mount Union. It was pretty sick in the playoffs. That's really cool.
That's awesome.
So I went there for a little bit, and it was awesome, and the competition was really good. But I just didn't have that drive that I had for football the year before. And if you try to play a college sport, you guys know, if you try to play a college sport and you don't have that drive, it's game over.
Yeah.
And when you're paying that much money to go to school,
Oh
and
man.
then you have 5 a.m. practices and then practices until 8 p.m. again that night,
Yeah.
You
to
better
me,
love
it didn't justify it, right?
You better love it.
I
right.
get you.
Yeah, and I just didn't anymore. I just didn't love it like that. And to be honest with you, that's when I really started to love fishing in the outdoors. And so it's like when you go to Ohio, there's not a ton of opportunity there to go and fish. And then when you're playing sports on top of it. So
Right.
I ended up leaving the Mount Union after that first semester. So football season ended, and I was getting the bill for college. I was like, this is expensive. Family seeing the bill, it's like I don't know if this makes sense. So business classes there. Started. I remember that when I first came home, because we had the Riviera, right? So when I first came home, Dad put me on the deep fryer for 14 days straight, and I was like, "Oh, this is the real world."
Yeah. Well, that's one way of finding out, eh?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like you needed it. Like that's just what the restaurant business was, and that's what I wanted to do. I got fortunate enough with my schedule to start guiding in the mornings and then work in the restaurant at night. And then COVID was craziness. After COVID was a lot. My parents, they were ready to retire and they were working a lot. So for us, it was like the perfect opportunity, hey, let's jump onto this. My little brother, Angelo, was supposed to be in the business. Now he got a career, so he's doing his own thing. But it was good, man. It was a very graceful turn. I was happy when I was done playing. It's just different. Like when you play in Marine City, you're playing for your coaches, your players, your fans, like everybody. You knew everybody. It was a family. And when you got outside of that, it was a lot different.
Yes.
I hear you on that one. No question. So, tell us some of the places that you do some of your charters at. I mean, I know that you probably kind of venture out to a lot of different places, but just a rough idea of like where you've done some of your charters and maybe a couple crazy stories that you came up with or that happened, or some of the big catches some of your people had.
There's always crazy stories. Like we'll be out walleye fishing and we'll just be, walleye for the people that don't know that are listening, walleye are fairly small fish. I mean, if you catch a fish that's 22 to 24 inches, that's a good fish. If you catch a 30-inch fish, it's a trophy. You're putting it on the wall.
Well, you don't want to eat it, do you?
No.
That's not a good eater. 18, 22.
And nowadays with the way that they mount fish and stuff and the way trophies go, a lot of those fish can go back, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Because they obviously have good genes. So we have stories where we're just walleye fishing and we've caught 5-foot sturgeon in the river and 4-foot muskies with these big old gnarly teeth. But I do a lot of my chartering from Port Huron into Lake St. Clair is where a majority of our chartering is done. And that's because my bait shop is where it is, right in Marine City.
Yeah,
we did a lot of chartering in Detroit. I've done guiding on Lake Erie. I've been really fortunate enough to go on plenty of fishing trips I've been on all the Great Lakes and caught fish. So I've been very fortunate to do that. I've met some of the best people in my life doing this and guiding them. I got lucky enough to get hooked up with Frank Ragnow, the center for the Lions. I call him the toughest dude in Detroit. He's a warrior.
You ain't kidding.
Through that, I got hooked up with their strength and conditioning coach, Coach Josh. Just a salt of the earth human being, just quality people. Someone got pulled over.
As long as it's not you, right?
No. But it's cool, man. It's just all the people that you get to meet from all over the place. And some of these guys have hunting ranches. Some of these guys are builders. You just make all these insane connections that you never thought you'd meet. And it's cool because every single person that steps on the boat, we have at least one thing in common, right? Yep. We want to catch fish.
Right.
And so it's just been really cool. I don't really have any. I've been really fortunate to say, like, I don't have any crazy stories. I haven't had to fish anybody out of the water. I haven't had to ram a boat or do something crazy like that. Everything's been pretty chill so far. I'm hoping we didn't jinx it.
Good. Let's keep it that way.
I knocked that off for you. You're good. Tim, knock on your head. Okay, now back to what we were talking about. Just kidding. So where's the best place to maybe do some bass fishing?
So I love bass fishing Lake St. Clair. Me personally, I love fishing the flats. So obviously I'm a river rat. Like I was born on the river. So I love fishing like the flats. And to me, the flats is where it dumps into Lake St. Clair. So you guys all know that have been out there. like Muscamute Bay,
Mhm.
obviously Little Muscamute, Goose Bay, Bare Naked Bay, like any of those flats, like before all the people get on there and start partying on them, like even first thing in the morning, there are so many smallmouth that are in those reeds feeding on bait fish and feeding on perch and going through all those cuts. And I mean, like we've got really good fish, 5 pound, 5+ pound fish in like 3 foot of water. It's just been unbelievable.
Nice.
And then in the summer, yeah, oh yeah, it's awesome, man. And then in the summer, we head out to Lake St. Clair. You try to find 16 foot of water, and you try and find those weed beds, and those fish are just they move so much. So you just want to try and find that and cover as much water as you can. And they're probably the best fighting fish out there, I would say, pound for pound for sure.
That's
Awesome.
cool. Now here's a big question. Do you ever just go out and scout areas and just and you know and just try to see what, you know, maybe go there a couple times just to see if there's some consistency, and then maybe, you know, that a person's looking for that type of a fish and you know where to take them? Is that what you kind of do?
Yeah, so we do a lot of scouting trips. Like any day that I'm not guiding, I still fish. I try and fish if anywhere from like April till July 4th, I'm trying to fish 7 days a week, 6 days a week at a bare minimum. Because if you're not doing that, then those fish can move and you're in trouble. If there's people paying you to catch fish, well, they're paying you to catch fish. So we try and be out all the time. And a lot of it is scouting. Like I don't typically go out by myself and come home with a limit of fish or anything like that. Typically, I go out, I'll stick a couple fish at one spot, I'll move to the next spot. I'm really good with my electronics, and electronics have come a long way on the boats.
Right.
As far as being able to see what's underneath you and how they're reacting to certain baits. Like I have something on my boat called Live Scope, and it's basically a live sonar. So I can see fish. I can't see them like a camera, but on a sonar sense, I can see them swimming around down there. I can see my bait drop down to them. I can see them swim up to my bait, swim away from my bait. And if they do something like that, then I know they don't want it. So you can switch it up, drop it back down. But we actually do a ton of scouting, and that's actually where I've found like the coolest stuff, like random washing machines out in the lake, shipwrecks,
Nice.
tires. I mean, you name it. We've just found all sorts of stuff when you're out there doing that.
That's really cool.
So Pete,
so
how
go ahead.
how important, maybe some people don't understand how important when the walleye come in the river.
Mhm.
What would be your ideal water temperature?
Oh, it varies. It varies for so many people. What I like to say is 48 is when they're going to start. I like to look for 48. That's when the whippers are going to start getting out there and whipping with a lot slower motion. But typically 48. And like I said, we went out there and caught them. So I always get caught on these podcasts, even on my own, when I'll mention something about water temperature. And then I get some smart aleck that's like, oh, I got one in 30 degrees. I know. Typically, we're
Well,
looking
good
for
for you,
48
right?
degrees. Right. Exactly. So you were looking for like 48 degrees. And when it hits 55, it's a party.
Yeah.
When it hits 55 degrees, it seems like you can
It's
throw
on.
just about anything down there and it's game on. Yeah.
So when you go out and fish yourself and you go and scouting these areas, when you catch the fish, you just catch and release?
A lot of times. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Catch and release. You know, I have some people on the list that I know that like want fish, like, you know, grandma, got to take care of grandma.
Oh yeah.
Got to take care of some of the guys. Oh yeah. Got to take care of some of the guys that take care of me. As far as like helping me service my boat or service my truck and stuff like that. So there's times where I'll go out and catch fish just for those people. But a lot of the times, if it's just a scouting mission, because I clean enough fish, man. I don't want to come home and clean 3 more. But again, if the wife wants tacos, then I'm bringing fish home. You know how that
That's
goes.
right. Got to keep mama happy.
That's it, man.
Do you keep the cheeks?
Oh,
I do. I do.
Love the cheeks.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Love them.
You know what I
Any
did?
fish over 20 inches.
I took an old spoon and I sharpened it.
That's
I put
the
an
best
edge
way to
on
do
it.
it.
And just like this, and you're done. Works out pretty good.
That's seriously the best way to do it. And cheeks, the thing I love about cheeks is they're so good. They remind me of almost like a scallop. Like a lot of people don't understand. Like the walleye is
They're
delicious
sweet.
itself.
Oh, it's
Yes,
awesome.
they are. They
Cheeks
are.
are the
Like
best.
we've done fettuccinis with them. We've done them pan fried. We've done all
Yeah.
sorts of stuff with them. Deep fried, obviously. The cheeks are, and so many people throw them away.
Pete, I had
I
a
love 'em.
party
Love 'em.
here at my house last Thursday, and I have a buddy. I live in Florida. I have a buddy that works at a fish house, so I got 5.5 pounds of grouper, black grouper, and I picked
Oh,
up cheeks. So
Nice.
I did all those on the grill with a mango salsa, and then I had the cheeks just sitting in the lemon butter.
Woo-hoo!
What size cheeks are we talking?
Yeah.
I mean, a grouper cheek has to be like that, right?
Like that.
Oh,
Like that.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's when we went down.
Half the
We
people
went
didn't even
down-
know what a grouper cheek was, Pete. And they were like, "Oh, grouper cheek." I said, "Trust me." I said,
you need a big spoon for that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
You need a
try
sharpened
it.
ladle.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen, buddy. Trust me, I'm the czar.
No, that's awesome, dude. Those grouper cheeks are unbelievable. It's like any cheek meat that you can get on a lot of those fish is really good. I think there's a lot of wasted fish. You know, when we clean fish, like that's a big thing for me, and it's a reason I don't keep those. I'm not going to keep it unless I'm going to clean it and eat it. It shouldn't die unless it's going to be used.
That's
Right.
right.
And
Right.
so if you're going to kill it, like these guys, you know, you want to make sure that you know how to clean these fish so you get all the meat off them. You want to get the cheeks off them. You know, there's wings on them. You can cut their pec fins off here, and there's meat like right here in that fish,
Yeah.
and you can deep fry them and eat them just like a chicken wing. And they're delicious.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. Yeah.
I mean, you hear like the Spanish people and the Cubans in Florida, the Mexicans in California, when they roast a pig in the ground, they want the
Mhm.
cheek. The cheek out of a pig is also really sweet meat.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
I
a
believe-
friend
I
said
It
mean-
about
doesn't look. It
antique.
doesn't look good. It doesn't. I mean, you look at it and say, but they eat. They eat the
Which
cheek.
cheeks are we talking about?
Yeah.
Because if you're
I
talking
do
about
love
the
some
other
pig
cheeks,
butt.
You know-
those are
you know
hot-
what-
those
you
are
know what
called
the-
hot dogs.
You know
I'll
what the good old
pass, I'll
Southern boy
pass.
says? We eat it from the rooter to the tutor.
So Pete,
That's a good one.
what styles of fishing do you do? All the chugging and drift fishing and whipping and all that, or does it depend on the client what they want to do?
My favorite method to do is vertical jigging. I love just having a light rod in my hand and fishing it with a light bait. You feel that fish hit, you set the hook on it, you reel it in. But I've been really lucky, man. I've got to do it all. We started chugging in a 14-foot duck boat because we didn't have like a trolling motor or anything, so we just let the current kind of take us. So we've done chugging. I've done the hand lining with the wire line. We do whipping, but mostly we do vertical jigging, and then we drift crawler harnesses, or we'll troll out in the lake. Works really well for us as well. And then depending what's in the river, like right now we've got salmon, so we'll troll the river for salmon, or we'll go out and cast for smallmouth bass and cast, hard baits. So the fishery's so good, it puts us in a really tough spot. Like we got to carry a lot of tackle and be ready for almost anything, because you literally never know what's going to bite.
Hey, how much salmon fishing do you do out there, and when do you do it?
A lot.
A
Do a lot of it. I
Long
do
and-
it. I do a lot of it. I do it early in the spring, and I kind of kept it under wrap for the first few years. It's been a weird thing, but it's been like on the rise heavy the last 6-7 years. Like I don't think people understand how many salmon from the beginning of March until about the middle to end of April. Our river is full of salmon, coho salmon, Atlantic salmon, and steelhead salmon, or steelhead trout. And it's just an unbelievable fishery. And you want to talk about good table fare. When you're out there walleye fishing and accidentally catch a salmon, it's pretty hard to beat that on the grill.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, I
salmon.
guess
I mean, but especially you watch some of those documentaries about like the farm raised salmon. They don't you don't want to buy salmon from a grocery store after you see that.
No, man. No. That's a big, I have a big issue with that farm race stuff, because commercial fishing does so much damage to, it's crazy that kills so much and we're still buying all this farm raised fish because it's so different. I mean, you go to Costco and look at what a walleye looks like.
Losing you, Pete.
Losing you a little bit.
Doing the robot.
Max headroom.
He's probably down by 8 Mile by now.
Like what it looks like after you're done on a fishing trip, and you clean those fish right, and you've got them good to go. Oh my God. I'm
Well,
so
I hate to
sorry.
tell you this, Pete. You're gonna,
You got me.
yeah, you're gonna have to repeat
10
everything.
miles.
Yeah, 10 mile.
Kyle,
You got
yep,
me?
It,
Yep,
you,
you're better.
Hello?
yeah,
Hello?
you're going to
Gotcha.
have to, you're gonna have to repeat everything you just said now.
I'm like,
What did the question? Oh, about the farm raised fish?
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
15 minutes ago, but that's okay. Do it again.
I'm so pissed, guys. I'm so sorry.
Don't worry
Don't worry
about it.
about it.
Don't worry
Don't worry
about
about.
it.
Oh, don't
Nobody
worry.
watches this shit anyway, Pete.
Hey,
Don't worry.
Pete, don't worry
They
about it.
do. They do. People love it.
See, what did I tell you, you dumbass guys? You son of a bitches.
So, Pete,
No,
So
but
Pete,
Pete, the good thing
size
is we're
fishing,
gonna
doing
we'll
all
have you
that.
on again, so don't worry
Yeah.
about it. We'll get you.
size fishing and all that. On a personal note, we got a little news that you need to tell the boys. Do they know about that?
Yeah, about the new addition to the shop, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are expecting a baby boy.
Oh, Jesus.
August 10th, so that's gonna
The
be
next corner safety and running back for the Mariners. Hell
that's
yeah.
it. That's it, man. He's gonna be
Oh boy.
Hey,
lifted, but no, we got Allie's, she's doing awesome, man. She's about 15 weeks right now. It's
Nice.
August 10th. So she got me through fishing season.
All right.
And then I'm gonna have to buckle up come summer.
All right.
Don't worry.
Oh
He's
my
gonna be in
God.
orange and black.
Leo,
And he's gonna be at the
to
games
boot.
on Friday nights. He'll be there Friday
Congratulations.
nights this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
How about-
congrats.
Thank you.
That's
Wait till he
big.
runs the tunnel. Wait till he
Congratulations.
runs the tunnel, right? In the smoke, in the tunnel.
Hey,
Well-
Pete, you gotta teach him how to catch footballs off the head. Like,
I'm telling you, man. I'm gonna have to give him a better coach than me.
That's
That's
awesome,
awesome.
Pete. Congrats.
That's
So-
one thing that's always underestimated with Marine City, man. It can never be said enough, but it's always the coaching. It's always the coaching.
100%.
Oh, yeah, if you buy into the product, it's amazing what happens. Speaking of buying
Buy-ins
into yeah.
Yep.
Speaking of
Go ahead.
buy-ins, you're with being friends with Frank Gregg now.
Mhm.
I mean, tell us a little bit about him because we think everyone here thinks Frank Gregg now is like
The man.
Jesus Jesus floating with with the tux shirt
Yeah.
on. He says he likes to party. But
And you know what, man? It's funny because you see him on the football field, and he's tough as nails. So what people think of him is I'm betting wrong for the most part. He is the most relaxed, laid back, down to earth dude I've ever met. Because that was one of the things. Like when I took him out fishing the first time, was like, he never even got a price from me. So this guy was, pushing his luck, and he was high maintenance and stuff like that. It would have been a totally different trip for him. But for me, it was really cool to meet a guy that, when we met, he was 22 years old and just moved to Detroit. He had nobody, and all he wanted to do was fish. He is just very down to earth. I'm really glad that he had the season he did. He runs an awesome charity. If you guys don't mind, he runs the Rags Remembered Foundation. It's an awesome charity. He's got a sad story. He lost his dad when he was a sophomore in college, unexpectedly. And so the first day we ever went out fishing, it was 2018 or 2019 when we went out fishing. And one of the first stories he told me was that story. And he's like, wherever I sign my next contract, I want to be able to start a foundation and help kids that are in the position I was in. Not 2 months after he signed that extension with the Detroit Lions and they paid him, he started that foundation and started helping out kids in Metro Detroit. And we've been fortunate enough, it is, man. And we've been fortunate enough to be a part of it, taking these kids out fishing and taking them out for boat rides. And to see it come from an idea to actually helping these kids, to him being nominated for Walter Payton Man of the Year for his foundation. It's just been unbelievable. And the type of work ethic that guy has on the football field is the exact type of work ethic that he has on the water. He's on the water at 5 a.m. He's off the water at 9 p.m. He's every single cast he's making an opportunity of, probably because he doesn't get to fish enough. but he is a cool ass dude, and really should be a really good friend of ours.
Well, funny story about him. I think it was his rookie year. He was filming himself fishing on a little pond right behind, I think, is a condo, and he fell through the ice.
He did, yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody's like,
Yeah.
"What the fuck is this guy doing?" I mean, he's gonna are we gonna have another Dave Andelsek situation?
Right.
Well, the thing is when he went in, half of his body, his one leg was still above, and he was like trying to knock the freaking ice so he could fall in completely, because it is like, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's gonna hurt himself, or he's gonna go underneath the ice, and they're not gonna find him until next year. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
So the funny story about that specific video is his whole goal, his dream was the NFL and then to have a fishing TV show. He's from Minnesota, so it's very much, that's where those guys came from, where a lot of those fishing shows came from. And that's what he wanted, was a fishing show. So he started a YouTube platform to kind of start to build that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about it that very first trip with him. And he goes, you know what makes me mad about YouTube? My most viewed video is me falling through the ice. Out of all the fish I've caught, out of all the places I've been, my number one viewed video is me falling through the ice.
Well,
it would be after
it was, yeah. So of course it would, because they showed it on ESPN, and then they showed and then they showed it on the local news and everything else. So yeah. Thanks a lot, 247 and ESPN.
Yeah, I know, man. It's the old media.
You gotta love them.
I had a great conversation with him at your wedding, real quick.
Yeah.
And he comes storming through it. Not a lot of people. He got in and got out of there. But I says to him real quick. I said, "Hey, Frank," and I says, "Hey, whatever stories he tells you every fishing holes he finds in the St. Clair River." I showed him. He started laughing. I said, "Don't believe anything."
We've had some unbelievable days out there. He loves Marine City, because we've had some unbelievable days out there. I mean, we went out there. He brought his wife up here one time, like one of the first times he came to visit Marine City. We went and grabbed lunch at the restaurant. We went and fished one of our favorite spots on the Canadian side. And his wife and my wife outfished the both of us, but it was unbelievable. We caught our 4-man limit and probably released another 12 to 15 fish. Wow. And I think from that point on, he's always loved Marine City. So I do think he'll always be coming back, which is awesome.
That's great.
That's cool. We're actually going to do a live show from the winery in September.
I heard about this. I think we might need to set one up for the dock outside.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Anytime, brother. We're gonna do it. Yeah, and Frank's more than welcome to jump on the show whenever he wants to.
He just can't wait to do it, I'm sure, Frank.
Why not? What the hell?
Well,
what else
he's going to be coming
Is he bugging you about it, Pete? Is he bugging you about it?
That's Fred's kind of fishing.
No. He's going to be back sometime, late March, early April. We always donate a trip to his foundation, so we've got to honor that trip. We got guys that come out. Last year's pretty cool. Fox 2 came out. And we did some fun stuff there. So we'll be looking forward to doing that again. And hopefully he'll do an event at the bait shop, but it's one of those things, man, like he's very reserved. He's a very shy person. He's very reserved. Yeah. So I really don't want to ever kind of push that envelope. He's always,
don't do it. Leave it as your personal friend guy. Don't ask.
Always.
Always. The one thing, if he comes to Marine City, the one thing is they'll treat him no different than they treat Darian Hatcher.
100%.
Yeah. And that's what I love. I think Darian and I sat with each other at the Gars one night. We went down there. Kendra and I went down there, and we sat with his wife, and him, and we started shooting the shit. And he goes, the best thing about living here, the water's right there, and he goes, everybody treats me like, they don't sit there and go gaga or start asking me for things or something. They all they do is they treat me like I've been here my whole life. Yeah. And that's how I think any people. Justin was like that with Tim. We've had people come through and like I said, we've had great opportunities to, for people to come through that town, and they treat you just like you've lived there their whole life.
Yeah,
I think that's
so Pete, if Frank does want to come on the show, we'll boot Fred out to make room for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let him know that.
That's
You can
perfectly
always
fine.
tell that you could reach tens of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's just put it this way: we will get less views than he did falling through the ice. That's for damn sure.
Guaranteed.
Right.
Guaranteed. I've done
He's
videos with
safe
him, and
here.
I'm like, hey,
Nobody
this
will
is the
ever know
one.
he's on the show.
Yeah, nobody
Right.
ever knows because they don't watch it anyway. So
So,
They
hey,
watch
Pete.
it.
Oh, Pete, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. But the one thing that I have a question for you is Tim, myself, and Rob, and I don't know if Brock is or not, but we are big Michigan out of doors fans. And
Yes.
have you ever been featured on the show, or has they ever reached out to you to be on the show?
Yeah, you know what? I had a bad experience with you bring the camera on the boat and that happens. We went out sturgeon fishing one time, and we hooked up to a fish. We lost it. We caught suckers and catfish and all sorts of stuff. But it just didn't work out. And that we're trying to line something up. I know one of the film guys, Jordan, pretty well. We want to do a walleye video, but there's so many walleye videos, so we just want to do something different.
Right.
So I think we're going to try and line up like a salmon episode. But those guys do an awesome job, man. Michigan Out of Doors does such a good job of teaching and just showing people the pure happiness of the sport. I think
Sure.
social media has killed a lot of that. And I'm glad Michigan Outdoors has kept it.
Yeah, we're glad that that they've kept it the way they have. But for Rob and I, isn't the girl co-host, isn't she from Richmond? Does she live in Richmond?
Yeah, Jenny's from right around here actually. She's around here. She's got family around here.
Mhm.
And she's mentioned coming out too. But the problem is, I mean, shoot, it's so hard to line up a podcast. You know what I mean? And then
Sure.
once the fishing gets good, we get busy. It takes typically 1 or 2 Facebook posts to really like fill a charter schedule right now. When the fishing gets good. So it can be hard to line something up. And again, if we're going to do it and they're going to come out, I wanted to have it be something that, maybe we haven't done before. So I see it happening sooner than later.
Well, that's cool because like I said, typical me, thinking big here with our show was, I reached out to Jeremy on the show on X and asking him if I'm sorry, Jimmy, I meant Jeremy before. Yeah. Well, I reached out to him on X just to say, hey, we're big fans of the show. We're from Marine City, and we know that Jenny's from the Richmond area and stuff like that. We have a lot of our fans that are big fishermen and hunters and stuff like that. We'd love to have you on the show sometime. So I reached out a couple times. I obviously didn't get a response back, but it was worth giving it a shot because the thing is there's so many hunters and fishermen that do watch the show here that they just want to see some of the things that especially give an opportunity for you to maybe book some extra charter opportunities in the area.
Right. And
go ahead, buddy.
That's this business, Fred. You know what I mean? Like we started our podcast and you just have to reach out to people. And that's the nice thing about social media is you can reach out to these people. And that's what you got to do. And we've had a lot of people that like haven't responded to us either. And every once in a while, it'll be like a couple months later and they're like, yeah, I'll do a show. Yeah. And it's like, oh, no way. Cause there's just so many guests, right? Like there's just so many people you could have on,
right.
But that would be an awesome one.
Yeah.
Thursday nights when that song comes on of Michigan Out of Doors, and then that old guy with the gray beard, he's hunting. Could have been hunting for a long time. He got something and he's crying. It brings me to tears. It does.
Yep.
Every time I see that guy,
I love
it. It's an awesome show.
Yeah, it's a great show. I live in Florida, so I watch it on YouTube. So and then I watch it when I won't watch it for a long time, and then I catch up and watch a bunch of episodes. And they do. You made a good point. They're always doing like a lot of the same stuff year after year. It's cyclical when it's turkey hunt, duck hunting, walleye. I know you probably can find something to make it special. Like,
Yeah.
Have they ever done one? You know, have they ever fished the flats? Did they ever fish underneath
Right.
the Blue Water Bridge? Have they ever done, you know, any of that stuff? I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I've never seen it.
Right. And that's, I mean, that's something you ask about. And the other thing is you kind of show them like the experience. So that's one thing that I try to emphasize to people a lot. Like when you come out and you book a trip with us, it is so much more than just going out there and catching fish. Like I want you to enjoy the experience. So you're going to come out, first off, you're going to go to a small town. It's easy to make a story about that. So you're going to come to this small town, the small little fishing town. You
Yeah.
head out on the river. The watercolor on the river is unlike anything you've ever seen. So you go out there and you catch your walleye, and then we come back to our bait shop where our cleaning station is, clean these fish. And then it's like, the Marine City Fish Company in town will actually cook our clients' fish for us so we can take them downtown to a good restaurant and do something like that. So I think
Fantastic.
if we put together something like that and kind of had like an experience, because that's really what I would like to do, because that's kind of like, for me, that's what our business is. That would be the best advertising for us as well.
Yeah, that'd be badass. That'd be
Pete, what do you
Yeah.
do? What do you do for like Marine City football? The success of Marine City football, right? They went into the youth programs and started doing the same things that they would be doing in the middle school. And are you doing anything for the youth in town to bring them into fishing, to show them what the
Yeah.
sport's about? Yeah, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I've been wanting to start a kids camp now for the last 2 years that we've been open, but there really is a lot that goes into it if you want to do it with liability and everything nowadays, and having the dock and being so close to the water. There's just kind of a lot that goes into it. But we do, like, I always encourage people to bring their kids into the bait shop. I always make sure the kids walk out with tackle, and make sure that they understand. For me, it's you treat them when you went to practice in 4th grade. As much as you were a kid, they treated you somewhat like an adult. You had responsibilities, you had things you had to take care of. That's the same when these kids come in fishing or coming in asking questions. And what I'm noticing is there's a lot of kids getting into fishing and their parents aren't. And it's because of what's in my hand right now is our cell phones. So you have kids on TikTok and YouTube looking things up, and they'll come into the store and they're like, "Hey, I want this." And I look at their parent, and their parent's like, "I have no idea what they're talking about." I'm like, "Well, they're spot on. Like they know exactly what they need."
Yeah.
So it's been pretty cool. And then we have our Hook One Derby, which is coming up. It starts March 1st, and we have a free kids division for that. So we
Nice.
give like the top 3 kids that way prizes. We give them a prize pack. Last year we had like 20 kids sign up, so we made sure they all went home with some sort of giveaway package, whether it be a rod and a reel or a new tackle box with tackle or jigs or plastics or whatever,
That's cool.
just to get them in. Because it's what our sport is going to be. And for me, I played sports when I was younger. I didn't fish. I didn't start fishing until I was 14 or 15. I had a couple good friends in high school that kind of got me into it. And then when I fell into it, I was addicted. And when I came home from school, I spent every day out there. So for me to, what's that?
Is that why you quit baseball fishing?
No.
Liar.
I regret that greatly. That's one of the few regrets I have, was not
He
continuing
was
to play
a great.
baseball.
I coached Pete in baseball in Little League. He was a great baseball player.
We had a great group, man. Like we had
fun.
a great group of guys, and we had like the group under us was good, the group over us was good.
Yeah.
It just got to be too much, and there were some other things that I don't know. I think I got peer pressured into track.
No, it worked out for you. That's
No
fine.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
So
It was all good.
hey Pete, now quick question. I know the Pro Bass Tour goes all over the Midwest and heads down south and stuff. Like, do they ever do anything like that, like up our way at all anywhere?
Yeah, man. You know what's crazy is they were just here last year. They were here. They were here they were in Lake St. Clair at Brandenburg Park last year. And they did not do a very good job of getting the word out. And it was still one of the busiest weigh-ins of their season. They weighed their second heaviest bags of the season, and they're not coming back. I think a big problem with that is with the pro bass circuit, so many guys are from down south. So many of their viewers are down south. So many largemouth bass fishermen are down south. So many of their sponsors, customers are down south. Because they come up, typically they'll do this thing called the Northern Swing, and they'll come up and they'll fish Lake St. Clair, and then they'll go fish 2 different spots in New York. And that's kind of what it is. So they did the St. Lawrence this year, and it blew away every tournament bag they've ever weighed. But when they came to Brandenburg, and I highly suggest, obviously, when they come again, our bait shop will do a good job getting the word out. I thought it was awesome. Like for kids, you know, you have like pros and their nice wrap trucks and their wrap boats and all their jerseys and stuff. And it's one of those things where it's not like a sporting event where it's hard to get to the pros. Like the kids can walk up to the pros and you can ask them questions and they'll sign things and talk to you and they'll give you the time of day, which you just don't get that opportunity with a lot of other sports. So I'm hoping they come back. I think, like, obviously they won't be back in 2024, but I think 2025 they'll be back. And I think they'll be back in Brandenburg. They usually go out of Metro Park on 16 Mile. But last year they were at Brandenburg, which was awesome because they were a little bit closer to the shop. So we could get there a little bit easier and we had a little bit of foot traffic.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, I'm just trying to get an idea here if, you know, when you get these kids involved and stuff like that, and of course, you know, equipment's always a big thing, especially for beginners.
Right.
You know, Rob kind of got me hooked, no pun intended, on doing some fishing. Basically my fishing was casting. I never caught anything. So Rob caught stuff and I couldn't catch it.
Why they call it fishing and not catching.
Not catching, right.
Yeah.
That's what a lady said when we were fishing that one day. But what is some good equipment? I mean, as far as you know, rods and reels and stuff like that. I mean, you know, maybe top three things that somebody can afford and at least get started before they get into the expensive equipment.
Yeah, man, I think that's a big thing. I think that's a thing that the fishing industry kind of leaves out is the beginners. Like our biggest market, and I realize that. Like I'd love to have all this expensive stuff in the bait shop and high-end stuff for these guys, but I'm not going to sell that. A lot of this stuff is for beginners or guys that are coming in. So like Berkeley makes some really good rods. Fenwick makes some really good rods that are in like that $50 to $70 mark. That you could find. St. Croix makes some really nice rods. Those are made in America. We use some custom rods that are a little bit more expensive. They're handmade up in Gwinn, Michigan, from our friends up there at Mag's Custom Rods. They do an awesome job. And as far as reels go, you can save a little bit of money on depending what you're looking to do. All the reel companies, whether it's Shimano or Daiwa, Pfluger, even Penn, a lot of those reel companies will make, you know, cheaper reels. And what I tell people is like, they are cheaper, but they're going to get the job done until they don't. Because eventually you're going to graduate from that if you want to, or you're not, and you're going to be okay using it. The one thing that I always recommend though, man, is like, whether it is a Bass Pro or Cabela's, I'd rather you come to Hook One, but wherever you're going to go, because I understand obviously we can't service everybody. Wherever you go, I highly recommend putting the rod and the reel like in your hand and feeling it, because I've had guys that choose $100 rod and reel combo over a $250 rod and reel combo because it feels comfortable to them. Because that's the biggest part, man, is finding affordable gear, finding good gear that's affordable to get you into the game. Because like any hobby now, it's expensive as hell, and it's only getting more expensive. I see that on the tackle side of things. That's scary.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on like the Abu Garcia line?
Love Abu Garcias. They've been around for a long time. They've been a good product for a long time. I don't know why more people around here don't carry them. So the fishing industry is kind of weird in the sense like a few companies own a lot of companies. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
So like there's a lot of umbrella companies. So like I mentioned Berkeley and I mentioned Fenwick and I mentioned Pfluger. Well, they're all a part of an umbrella of Pure Fishing, which also has Penn and Abu Garcia and that sort of stuff. So a lot of the times, depending who you're working with and what groups you're working with is going to be the stuff you bring in. But Abu for a long time has been, you know, if not the top dog, the top three dogs in this game. We finally started getting our hands on some this year because that's something that, you know, we started April 5th of 2021. That's COVID. There's not much product available in COVID, especially for a new shop. So now we're finally getting our hands on that stuff, and we've got some Abus. We've got that stuff, and we've got them in the price point from $35 to $150.
What kind of line are you using?
Yeah.
Are you using
In the
braided
river, I use
line
a
or
lot of
silk?
braid. Yeah, in the river, I use a lot of braided line, and then I'll tie a leader to it. But the braid, it cuts the current a lot faster, so it helps you get down to the bottom, and then it's a lot more sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I switched to that this
So,
year. I
and you
like it.
can, yeah, and you can fish 10-pound. What I like about braid too is it's thinner, so you can fit more on your reel. And then like you can fish 10-pound. If you fish 10-pound mono, it's gonna break at 10 to 10.5 pounds. We've caught sturgeon on 10-pound braid.
Yeah.
So if your drag and stuff is set right, so braided line is gonna hold up. We've caught muskies on it and stuff. It's held up against those big, powerful fish.
Nice.
This funny story was when Rob was getting me hooked in there. I was online, looking for some of the Abu Garcia stuff, and I found 3 rods out in a New Haven like pawn shop, or like just kind of like a just an antique shop.
Yeah.
And I got 3 of them for $20. And they were in great shape. They didn't have the reel with them. They had one had a reel with it, 2 were just the pole itself. But
Yep.
I had 2 Fluger reels that I could attach to them, and it's one of them is one of my favorite to
I've
use.
had some of my closest friends, like some of my guys that are like, they fish like we do day in and day out, and they found some of their best finds at like resale shops, antique shops, and stuff like that, because it's like freaking house appliances, man. Like back then they made rods and reels to last. Now they
Right.
make them to break. It's just the fact. It's just where we are. So it's like, if you can find that older stuff, get it. Like it's good quality stuff.
You still
Right.
got the old Zebcos out. Come on now. Is that
I'm
my
telling you, man, the ugly sticks.
I'm
You know what I
telling
mean?
Oh yeah, I have an ugly stick too, and that's the one that Rob and I went out to Cabela's, and I was gonna get a rod, and I got one of those ugly sticks, and I absolutely love it. It's it's good. It's got I love the handle. So it's nice. So you don't lose your grip. You flick it out there, and the reel goes out pretty well, and and it just and it handles a lot, some
Yeah.
heavier stuff. So we have a spot, and like Rob found this spot right here in Marysville, right by where the old salt plant used to be, or the Edison plant there. And there's a
Yep.
little dock right there. I mean, the minute you put your bait in the water, it's like boom. I mean, it's just catching. And
Perch
my
fish.
buddy that lives across the street,
Yeah.
next, Kevin Mon, his son-in-law was out there, and he caught a huge salmon right from there, and brought it home. It was a rainbow,
telling you.
rainbow
Yep.
trout. It was good. It was beautiful.
It's like the last thing you'd expect perch fishing.
Fuck
You
you
know what I mean?
guys.
It's
Hold on, Pete. Hold on, Pete. Fuck you, Rob. You're good. You didn't say anything. Fuck you, Tim. Fuck you, Brock. And
Come
Mike,
on.
in all due respect, Mike, fuck you too. And I
What
said,
did I do?
you're sitting there laughing because I'm like getting all geeked out on this, because you know what? I wish the one thing that
Your
really bummed me out.
inaccuracies that we were laughing at.
Well,
Yeah.
everybody
Pete-
knows you have an ugly stick, Fred. You beat yourself with it every day.
What?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Pete.
A good
but
one.
You might take the cake. He might have a new man crush on you instead of Dave.
Yeah,
So,
I think
yeah.
so. Rob, I think Fred's man crush on Pete is greater than yours on Dave.
Not as great as Eddie Stevens,
That's
Oh,
Oh, here it goes.
but
That's
Here
what
it goes,
happens,
here
man.
it
You start
goes, here it
talking
goes.
fishing, and your inner child comes out. That's the best part
That's
about
right.
it. Like
well,
every one of us in here's probably caught a fish, and every single one of us has gotten giddy about it, whether it's a little bluegill or a salmon. It's just awesome.
So
Yeah,
here's the Bassmaster schedule. They do have the Northern Swing. I just looked it up. They're
Yep.
going to start their Northern Swing on Lake St. Clair, July 1st through the 13th.
Is that this year?
No, this is the 2025 schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Okay.
you said the next time they would come would probably be
Right.
in 2025. So I looked
Yes,
up
sir. Yep.
2025, and then they're going to go to New York, Pennsylvania, back to New York,
Ooh.
and then Minnesota, and finish up the Northern Swing in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
I knew they were going to go to.
Wow.
I knew they were going to go to La Crosse, because I've I watched that episode, that tournament, and I mean they were just
Oh,
big, huge,
dude.
fucking big mouth bass, just pulling them in. I mean, just big
Yeah.
fuckers, man. I don't even know.
Wisconsin's on another level, man. They're right now. They're just on a fishery that's on another level. We all go through it. Like our walleye fishery right now, you can catch as many as you want. What Wisconsin and that Door County and Green Bay, it's Lake Michigan, really. Lake Michigan just has a lot of bait in it right now. Like there's a lot of big salmon. Like look at the west side of the state, all the big salmon that are coming
Sturgeon
from like
Bay.
Ludington. Yeah. So you
Sturgeon
go over
Bay
to
is
Sturgeon
home.
Bay and
A lot of walleye out of there.
it's on my bucket list. I want to go up to Sturgeon Bay in like March, sometime like mid-March when they're getting those big walleye and then those big smallmouth, like 7+ pounders. It's like, it's hard.
Right.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around because you just don't see them here.
Actually, and if you go over there, Pete, go a little farther south out of the Door County area, go into the main part, but still on the coast to a little town called Algoma, and they have two breweries there, phenomenal. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you up on that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to drag
This is
Frank
how
out
he.
there this
This
spring
is how
'cause
he.
he loves
This is how he
fishing out there.
trolls. Doing this.
Get him out there.
Rob likes to do a lot of chugging. He does chugging.
Yeah,
Chugging
chugging.
beer.
Bottoms up.
That's right.
Hey, you're
So-
either catching fish or you're
Pete,
catching a buzz, brother.
That's
That's
right.
Have you been to any of the shows, like the boat shows? You got
Yeah, he
fishing
was just
shows,
there,
Novi.
right?
Yeah, it's like every one I go to, I get sick after. So we had our own booth
Super
set up in
spreader.
Novi. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, it's nuts. We had our own
Sure.
booth set up in Novi. We sold a bunch of tackle and stuff like that. And we talked to a lot of people, which was awesome. Detroit Boat Show, I was down there just working with. I've got a lot of friends now in the industry that could use some help, and they helped me out in my show.
Nice.
So we did Detroit. That was January 27th till February 4th. That's a long one.
Wow.
And then
Is that at Kobo?
that one's at
Okay.
Kobo. And then now we've got another one coming up. The weekend of February 22nd. It's Thursday through Sunday, and that's back out in Novi. Yep, and that's the Outdoor Rama. So for you guys that are listening that do more hunting, whether it's whitetails or ducks or turkeys, or there's lodges if you want to travel and hunt, there's obviously a bunch of fishing stuff. I'm going to be helping out in the boat section as well as some of the tackle sections. So, and then I got one more in March in Grand Rapids, and then that's about it for me. But show season is a busy season, man. It's cool though. You get to meet a lot of people.
That's cool.
Pete,
So-
what's your ideal fishing boat? What's your dream boat? Which one you want, brother?
You know what, man? My dream boat is a lot different than my ideal fishing boat. My dream boat is like a 36-foot center console with 3 400s on the back. Like, let's just do it right if you're gonna do it. You know what I mean?
You and me both.
Dude, I'm telling you. So, but my ideal fishing boat it's going to be something similar to what I'm getting into, and it's going to be like your traditional walleye style fiberglass boat.
Okay.
I've fished out of a lot of different boats. I've fished out of bay boats. I've fished out of aluminum boats. I've fished out of these walleye boats. I've had an aluminum boat for a long time, but I'm just ready to be in something that's a little heavier. It's more comfortable. It's a full windshield. It's got actual seating, full storage. The maintenance is a little bit more. The upkeep's on it a little more. But I'm looking forward to getting into something like that. I personally, I love the bay boats. I know me and you go back and forth all the time talking about them. And honestly, if it wasn't for guiding, I'd probably get one because they're fine enough to fish out of. But when you're going out every day and you're dealing with the wind and the waves, and honestly, you're dealing with people that are pretty clueless sometimes.
Yeah.
I got to be able to get to back and forth quick, and that center console kind of gets in the way.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pete, have you ever been down to the launch during the peak of the walleye season?
Not truck and trailer if I don't have to, but I'll drive by in the boat.
Oh my God. It is
Capital.
it's
a
a
nightmare.
goddamn shit show.
It's a
It's a
nightmare.
shit show, man.
It's the beauty of our Michigan DNR, and I really don't want to get into it too much because I've had a lot of arguments with those guys about that launch.
Yeah.
But it's just for me, it's frustrating because it's such a beautiful resource and it's such a cool opportunity for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 48 spots there. The docks are really short. Like my 21-foot boat's hanging off the back, which isn't even a big boat. Like, and that's the thing. Like I tell those guys in Marine City is, you know, if we don't have a good launch, you're not going to have the guy pull his 35-foot cruiser up here. He ain't going to do it. The guy that has a 35-foot cruiser has some money to spend at our restaurants and our candy stores and my tackle shop and all the businesses down the strip. His wife can go to the marketplace and all those places in town. So I've been talking to the DNR for a long time about that. I've gotten absolutely nowhere.
You gotta run between the waves. It's terrible.
Yeah, but I'm not going to complain. Yeah, the freighter waves too. But I'm not. You know what? The thing is, there's a lot of cities that don't even have that opportunity. So even though it is a nightmare, it's better than nothing.
Yes.
Right. So
yeah,
Pete,
there's a lot of out of towners there. There's a lot of out of town guys that go there. But what they really need to do is they need to have, because they got 4 places. You know, they need to have like a 2 out, 2 in, because it's a cluster. I mean, I've been down there and there's been fist fights. These guys trying to get in the water, people trying to get out of the water. It's a. I mean, I've almost gotten in a couple of scraps down there. These guys are just assholes. They have no idea what they're doing.
That's why I'll pull my boat. That's why I'll pull my boat up and go right to Marysville to theirs and just right out and go.
Marysville's got a nice one. Elginak has a really nice one across from the Kroger there. They've got it seems like 100 spots. I think there's 8 to 10 to put in and out in a huge parking lot there. So that's a good one. But what the heck? I mean, for us to launch right there and then be by good fishing. I mean, shoot, man, when the fishing's good at Fawn Island, by the time you back out of the launch, it's basically going.
Just hit the red buoy one time, right?
I'm telling you, dude.
Right.
I'm telling you. But the problem with that is that's a hard spot to hide because everyone's launching their boat, watching you whack them.
Right.
You know who the out of towners are at the launch when they go out?
The weekend warriors.
No, when they go out and they go past that buoy, Pete, you know where that sunken schooner is?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And they go right over the top of it, and all of a sudden you're boom. They hit that schooner with their prop.
Well, because it comes out of the water.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's one
it's shallow.
thing. Like nobody understands the history that is in that river with the prohibition, and then you have like the Underground Railroad and stuff from way back when. There's many of those old wooden boats, and then the shipbuilding days, like you said, the old wooden schooners after that. It's just there's a lot of history.
Yep.
So Pete, what inland lakes that we have? I mean, which obviously we have some beautiful ones. What's your top 3 favorite ones to go on? Have you gone out in any of them?
Man, that's a tough one. No, I have. You know what? I have not been out enough on a lot of those inland lakes. I will say Burton Mullet is a beautiful lake, and the fact that you can go in between them. Burton Mullet is a really cool lake. I really like fishing Higgins. I really like fishing Higgins. It has some unique opportunity. And I like boating in Torch Lake. There's not a ton of fish. There is some good fishing to be had, but it's mostly just a really good boating lake. But I just love fishing the Great Lakes. I love big water. That's why, like when we go down south, I love going offshore and fishing those big boats offshore, in the salt water. And here, I just love the Great Lakes. Like I think I just like big water. I like open water. And to be honest with you, man, the fishing is a lot different in an inland lake. The patterns are different. The baits are different. How you fish them is different. So it's just a different animal.
Gotcha.
So when you go out fishing in the ocean down the Keys, I mean, there's when you catch these fish, you have no idea. I mean, I don't know, you probably do, but shit, you have no idea if these fish are poisonous. They all have big teeth.
Right.
It's a pain in the ass.
We always make sure to have gloves and scissors, like heavy. There's like handling gloves, and it's almost like a gardening or a welding glove. Always have gloves, always have scissors, because you could be on a patch reef. Like when we were down there, we were just down there with Dave over the New Year, and we were down there, and it was the first time we rented a boat. We did a lot of fishing, and you had no idea, man. You had no idea if it was going to be like a 10-inch snapper fish or a 10-foot shark, because those sharks were in our spread. And when they would bite you, it'd be like, oh my God. And then boom, you'd just break off. And we probably caught 25 different species on the same spot. And you're spot on. I don't know which ones are poisonous. I don't know if a lot of them, they'll have like little spines that you won't even think about that are the ones that'll poke you and really make you pay for it. Now, I've gotten pretty good at IDing a lot of those fish, but there's thousands of them in the ocean. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the utmost caution. Gloves, put it on the ground and put your shoe on it. I mean, obviously you don't want to kill it, but I don't want
Right.
me or anyone else on my boat getting hurt, especially when you're out in the ocean.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely, yeah.
So
So
Pete, why don't you give us like the address of your place, the store hours, and any kind of things that you got coming up with to kind of help end the show.
yeah, man, that's awesome. You can find us online at hook1baitandtackle.com. You can find us on Facebook, Hook One Bait and Tackle. You can find us on Instagram at Hook One. You can find us anywhere you podcast. We are the Hook One Pod. Me and Louie just talk fishing, and we try and help people's learning curves. Our physical location is 1285 South Bell River Avenue. That's in Marine City, Michigan. So again, it's right next to the DNR launch on the other side of the stone piles. We've got our spring derby coming up that goes from March 1st to May 31st. Adults and a free kids division, like I mentioned. We typically in the spring, we're always doing some sort of open house or dock talk. What I tell people is the best way to follow along is just follow along on Facebook. And if you don't have a Facebook, get one and just follow us, because then you won't have to deal with any of the BS. That's what I tell them, because
Yeah.
it's just the easiest way for us to keep up to date what's going on. Because like starting March 1st, we're constantly going to have new shipments in, new products in. It starts moving, and when it starts moving, it moves fast. So Facebook, you can see all our updates. You can message us on there. We do our fishing reports once a week on there, so we let guys know, where we've been catching them, what we've been using, all
Right.
that sort of stuff. Because again, I want people to come catch fish, because then they're going to have to come to the bait shop. That river is ruthless. It's going to take all your tackle, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
So if you're fishing, you got to come to the store at some point.
Gotcha.
But that's where to find us, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not a problem. And we'll make sure that Mike sends you the link so you can put it on your Facebook page too. So they can, your followers
we'll
can
share it
watch it
around.
as well. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Like I said, we do our shows every Thursdays at 7:00, 7:30. Sometimes we'll do it on Tuesdays if one of our guests needs to do it earlier in the week. Give us a thumbs up, notification, subscribe so you know when our show is going to be on. We'll make sure that that I mention it tomorrow in a Facebook Live that we had you on. And Pete, hey, we wish you the best of luck. We love the fact that you came on the show. We plan on having you again for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be back.
And we are
I'm
going
gonna
to
be back in the studio, so
Mhm.
I won't be dealing with the internet. I really appreciate you guys.
No problem. But we
I
are
wanna
going
say
to
something
take
to
advantage of doing a live show from your place.
Dude, yes, we absolutely we 100% will, because we'll have the Wi-Fi and stuff ready to go. And I want to utilize that dock more. View's way too good.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
I just want to thank you guys again for having me on and letting me talk about this stuff. I can't believe it's already been an hour and 15 minutes.
I know.
It
Goes by fast.
It does. So I'm looking forward to the next time. And to all the listeners out there, since I got my podcast, I know how this works. Like, share, and subscribe. Help the guys out.
You're way better than our other pitch man that does that.
Get rid of him.
I didn't know we had.
No, that's the biggest thing, man. Is like I tell people all the time, whether it's the podcast or whether it is our derby or whatever it is, the only way for us to have the best possible product is to have the reactions. So let us know what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and what you're feeling about, because then we can cater it to it. So Brock, that room is badass, dude. I've been holding it in. I've been holding it in all day. That's unbelievable what you got going on back there.
All you got to do is
it's a filter.
Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah. Hey, Pete, don't worry about it. I might not be the great pitchman, but Rob's the best catcher. So, hey, well, thanks for coming on the show, and can't wait to have you on again.
Yes, sir. Can't wait to see you guys. Have a great night.
You
Yeah.
too.
Nice
Thanks.
shot, Pete.
You too, Pete.